to Gumbo for the Soul, the podcast. Today is Motivation Monday, and on Motivation Mondays, we talk about ways that we can motivate ourselves and keep ourselves motivated. Life is not life is not easy, but it's not hard either. I heard that quote over the weekend. So we have to keep ourselves, do whatever we can to keep ourselves motivated. Everybody doesn't have a support system, so this is a happy place. This is a safe space, and we are going to talk about ways we keep ourselves motivated. I read a quote the other day, and I want to share that quote today. That quote is, "What you choose to focus on will grow. What you choose to focus on will grow." So, what I choose to focus on, that's what's going to grow within me. Whatever I choose to focus on. So, if I choose to focus on positivity, then that is what is going to grow. But on the other side, if I choose to focus on negativity, that is what's going to grow. So if I focus on positivity, that will grow. If I choose to focus on negativity, that will grow. So if I choose to focus on self doubt or worry or guilt or anxiety, I myself have been diagnosed with anxiety, and I was diagnosed several years ago. And that diagnosis stems from my childhood. Some things that happened to me during my childhood, which I will talk about on another episode. But the definition of anxiety is a mental condition characterized by excessive apprehensiveness about real or perceived threats, typically leading to avoidance behaviors and often to physical symptoms such as increased heart rate and muscle tension. It is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. So I'm not ashamed to say that I'm diagnosed with anxiety. I have been diagnosed for several years, and I also talk to a therapist. Outside of my daily affirmations, outside of me listening to music, outside of me reading my Bible, I still talk to a licensed therapist. And one of the things that we talk about, one of the um, habits that I have is overgeneralization, meaning that when you lump things into the same category that are not even related, or when you say just because this person did something that reminds you of something that another person did to you in your past, you say, oh, yeah, they're acting just like so and so. When that's not the case. Sometimes people are just having a bad moment, sometimes they're having a bad day. That doesn't mean that they're acting just like the person that you had a traumatic experience with, or that situation is going to turn out just like that situation did in the past. But that is what a person does when they have anxiety. They connect everything to something that happened to them in their past. It doesn't mean that they haven't forgiven the person that did something to them in their past. It's just that they were traumatized by whatever it was, and so now it comes forward on a day-to-day basis, and a trigger a trigger is what causes it. A trigger could be a person, a trigger could be a word, it could be a statement, it could be a smell, it could be a song, it could be a place. um I mean, it really doesn't take much for a person that suffers with anxiety to be triggered. um the physical things, you have your heart rate speeds up, rapid breathing, sweating, you may feel tired, you may feel exhausted. You have to basically work yourself out of that feeling when you have anxiety. So, like I said, I do affirmations, I read my verses, I listen to music. Um, I mean, the other thing I do, one of my happy places, like I said, is in the kitchen when I'm cooking. So, that was the inspiration for my cookbook, actually. It's because when I think back to a lot of the happy memories that I have, they were in the kitchen while I'm cooking in the kitchen. And if I'm in the kitchen and I'm cooking, I don't have to worry about, all those anxious thoughts or those feelings of anxiety. Like I'm in the kitchen, like it's like I'm in charge, I'm in control of whatever's going on when I'm cooking. If I don't add that ingredient, then that dish is not going to taste like this or that. Like if I don't add pepper to something, my dish is not going to be hot if I don't add okra to it, because I don't like okra. So cooking, being in the kitchen, like that's one of my happy places. And like I said, when I'm in the kitchen, I can focus on the positive side of things. I can focus on things that I can do, things that I can accomplish. I can work at my own pace. I can decide what order I cook things in. Like if I'm fixing breakfast, I don't eat meat anyway. So it's like if I'm fixing breakfast, I fix my grits or my oatmeal. I may put my biscuits in the oven first, right? And then I may start working on my grits or my oatmeal, and then I'm always going to fix my eggs last. Everybody knows that. I'm going to fix my eggs last, right? If I'm doing French toast, if I'm doing waffles or pancakes, it just depends. I'm in charge of whatever goes on in my kitchen. So, like I said, I can focus on the positive. I can focus on having a good outcome when I'm, creating, different meals or different dishes. So, I want us to take away from today's Motivation Monday, whatever you choose to focus on, that's what's going to grow. So, if you focus on worry, you focus on anxiety, you're always going to be anxious if that's all you focus on. If you focus on love, focus on happiness, focus on joy, focus on feeling confident, just focus on the positive things. That is what is going to grow in your life, in your everyday life. That's what's going to grow. And like I've said before, just because you have a physical disability or a mental disability, there are ways to work around it. There are ways to live with that, and you have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself grace. I think about myself like today was a rainy day, and on rainy days, um, my physical limitations are heightened. Basically, they're worse on rainy days. So I had to give myself grace on rainy days. I don't give myself like a long to do list or make any like strenuous plans on a day like today because I know rainy days are rough on me. So you have to do the same thing for yourself. If you know that you have things that you work around and whatever your coping mechanisms are, you have to make sure you give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up whenever you don't accomplish something. Whenever you know you did the best that you could. So always do your best. Focus on what you did accomplish. Don't look at what you didn't accomplish. Focus on what happened. Don't focus on what didn't happen. And if you have anxiety like I do, don't just go straight into the negative self-talk or trying to blame everything or having a negative attitude or saying, yeah, this is just like what happened before. Or even if you're dealing with other people, everybody doesn't feel the same way you feel. Everybody doesn't think the same way you think. So you cannot put everybody in the same category. You have to have a positive outlook and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. There's a verse in the Bible, Philippians 4:8. It's a good verse to read. It's a good verse that helps you stay positive because it says, think on whatever things are good, whatever things are just, think on these things. It's a good verse to read whenever, you're going through some things or when you're feeling anxious. That's a good verse to read, Philippians 4:8. Also, Romans 8:35 to 39, because it tells us that we are more than conquerors. There's nothing that can defeat us. Nothing at all. We are more than conquerors through the love of God. We are more than conquerors. So whatever I choose to focus on, that is what is going to grow. And we all play many roles on a day-to-day basis. Some of us are parents, some of us are wives, some of us are, employees, some of us are employers. I mean, we play several different roles on a day-to-day basis, and whatever you choose to focus on, that is what's going to grow. You as an employer is very important to maintain a positive environment for your workers and for your business. Your employees are looking to you. You're their model of, whatever the climate is. They're going to vibe off whatever the climate is. They're going to vibe off whatever vibe you have. If every time you come to the establishment, you have a negative attitude or, you're not being kind or whatever, they're going to vibe off of that and the productivity is going to be affected. Same way with being a school teacher, same way with being a parent, same way with being in a relationship. Whatever you choose to focus on, that is what is going to grow. If you think on the positive and you focus on the positive and don't harp on the negatives, now you do have to make time and you have to figure out, how to communicate with whoever, you need to communicate with to address things that need to be addressed. You don't want to just, keep sweeping things under the rug, but you want to choose to focus on things that you want to grow. So, for example, like with my 4 year old, I don't want him to hit his brother. But if I say don't hit, stop hitting, don't hit, stop hit, all he hears coming out of my mouth is the word hit and don't and stop. And he's gonna automatically want to do the opposite of that. Same way with adults, same way with grown ups, same way with grown folks. If all you talk about is what you don't want them to do, that's what they're gonna think about. That's what they're gonna focus on, and they're more than likely gonna do exactly what you don't want them to do just because you said don't do it. So I have to use positive. I even have to talk positive. I have to say we don't use our hands to hit, but we can use our hands to do certain things. We can use our hands to write. We can use our hands to color. I have to tell him what I want him to focus on. Same way we have to talk to ourselves. I love myself. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to pray about it. And then I'm going to do the work that it takes to make that come to pass. That's the type of talk that we have to have. That's what we need to focus on. Same thing I have to tell myself every day. It is okay. The weather is bad. I know what I can and can't do because of the weather. So this is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on the things that I can do, even though the weather is bad. I'm not going to focus on things that I can't. I have to literally say that to myself. So that is what I would like for everybody to take away from this Motivation Monday. You have to motivate yourself. You have to focus on the positive. Don't focus on the negative. Keep moving forward. And as I've said before, if plan A doesn't work, there are 25 other letters. So if that plan didn't work, you can always come up with another plan and keep moving forward. And the same thing that I say to my 2 children every day and that they say now every day, um, you are smart, you are blessed, you are loved, and you can do anything. Thanks for listening, and until next time.